The view is this is a tech initiative, and it is not a tech initiative. It is 80% people and 20% tech. And that is why so many AI initiatives are failing. AI is a disruptor in businesses, and businesses, processes, jobs, job descriptions, work design, all of that were not based on AI or based on what AI can do. So what AI does is it challenges how are we doing things. If organizations are used to doing the same process for 50, 100 years, rethinking that is a challenge. AI for exit interviews is you're going to get a lot more information that is less identifiable to the person who gave that information.
I have some flaws because I have so many things to do. I want somebody, just like AI, a real person telling me, hey boss, you missed this. Okay, good day everyone. Welcome to 10x AI, the show where people explore how AI doesn't replace people. It amplifies them. So I'm your host, Julius Neal, and every episode we talk with innovators, builders, thinkers, and leaders in the AI space. So here with me now is Miss Lynne Piper. She is the founder of the Hostetter Group, and she is here bringing us her 25 years of experience in the HR space. And now she will talk about how she transitioned from the HR management into the AI of HR. So, Miss Lynne, can you introduce yourself to our viewers?
Sure. Thank you, Julius. And as you said, I'm Lynne Hostetter Piper, and I have over 25 years of corporate HR experience as a CHRO. And I had also done HR consulting, but in the last year, I have pivoted my services to helping organizations integrate AI into the workplace. And this is very exciting for me because I can implement and use my experience with change and leading complex change initiatives with organizations to AI initiatives. And it's a very evolving area. All the things I've learned in my AI certifications a couple months ago have already changed. So it's a rapidly changing area.
Yeah. So you've spent over 25 years leading people and culture. So it's at a very different aspect of AI. So what inspired you to shift from HR and people culture and then shifting to the AI transformation in HR?
Well, honestly, I got very bored with doing transactional HR functions, and anyone who's in HR will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to get involved more on a strategic level to helping organizations really look at what can AI do for our organization. One of the things that I became very painfully aware of in conversations with CEOs and leaders is that the view is this is a tech initiative, and it is not a tech initiative. It is 80% people and 20% tech. And that is why so many AI initiatives are failing, because people are mismatching the goal. And the goal is not to get the best tech platform, because who is going to be using the tech platform? Your employees. So
Yes.
I've always really felt passionate about helping organizations, but not only organizations, employees, and the workforce. So my unique differentiating factor, if you will, is that I have experience looking at the organization as a whole and how all of the compartments and teams and departments, and from operations to finance to whatever it may be, works together as a whole instead of just looking at AI in each department.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you mentioned about that most people's misconception about AI is more on the tech versus the people. So how do you, when you go into an organization or consult with some businesses or organization or institutions, how do you convince them that this is more of the human side versus the technical side?
Well, I am very upfront about my approach from the beginning, and I'm very honest that I am not a tech person. I'm not a coder. I know enough to be able to talk about AI. If you want me to tell you which specific algorithm, go into all of that. I kind of know, but I'm not the go-to person for that. And one of the first things I do is ask, well, why are you asking about AI and where is it coming from? Is it coming from your board? Is your board saying we need an AI strategy? Is it coming from your executive leaders saying, oh, we know our employees are using different AI models and we don't know what they're doing and it's a risk? And I also ask, what is your understanding about AI? Because that could be anything. That could be anything from, well, I want to teach employees how to prompt to I want to have a application that affects every part of our organization. The key for me when I'm really working with organizations is to conduct an AI readiness in all different aspects of the organization. But one of the key areas is the culture and how will this be received by employees? Because, of course, there's a lot of anxiety right now with all the layoffs and a lot of resistance and a lot of overwhelm for
Yeah, and there are so many layoffs going on now in the top and the big companies like
yes.
Amazon. They have this, and then in the pharmaceutical space, the Nova Nordisk. So many things are happening, and nobody knows where is this AI is going to. In your experience, what are the challenges in your selling the idea of AI to the people? For example, not on the board, not on the management side, those people who are, the frontliners. What is the challenge? Is convincing them that this is going to be a tool that is good for you. This is not going to replace your work.
So, one of the biggest challenges in understanding AI is that, and many organizations are not ready for this concept. It's not even a concept, it's reality, is that AI is a disruptor in businesses, and businesses, processes, jobs, job descriptions, work design, all of that were not based on AI or based on what AI can do. So what AI does is it challenges how are we doing things? And if organizations are used to doing the same process for, I don't know, 50, 100 years, rethinking that is a challenge because that has a tremendous amount of change. And what I have seen is companies just taking AI, and I'm sure you've heard this before, putting it on legacy processes. So if you have a legacy process that's always worked, it's worked okay, it's worked fine, but AI could make it much, much better. If you're just putting AI on top of that legacy process that is working okay, you're just going to have a really fast, okay process. When what you really want is a process that's going to really change what your pain points are, or what your strategic goals are, or how can we do this faster, better, smarter? And then our employees who have other skills and talent can channel that time and resource into other aspects of the organization.
How do you think AI will, for example, as a manager or as a leader in your organization, spotting the talents, the personal developments and the strengths and weaknesses of the people, like the employees? How do you think AI will be able to unlock this easily? Because for us, for example, as a manager, we will see, okay, we have to delve into the person, we have to talk to them and ask them, what is your current goals? And this is current KPI of the company or the department, and what is your personal development goals that will align to our department. So that is a little difficult to handle sometimes because there are some things that you have to have conversation and human connection as well. Do you think AI will be able to do that in the future?
No, AI will not be able to replace the human connection. Now, AI is getting better and quicker and better able to mimic human behavior, but AI can never replace the human aspect because it's not human. It's an artificial intelligence. But the aspect to what you're talking about is that AI will impact the entire ecosystem of an organization. So it's not just going to impact HR, applicant tracking, or performance management. Those are all aspects of it. But the champion for AI has to come from the CEO. and then the executive management team, and then it has to go down to the frontline supervisors, and then it has to go to each department, and there has to be consistent and transparent communication. So everybody knows what's going on, everybody knows what we're doing, everybody knows why we're doing it, and everybody knows that there are going to be problems. There are going to be mistakes, and that's going to be okay because we'll figure it out.
It's
So
really
it's
interesting that you mentioned that it should come from the very, very top during this transformation. So how would you tell them what is an AI transformation from the executive level, from the C-suite level?
so from the executive level, I would coach the executive and say that your messaging has to be consistent within your entire organization. AI has to be an organizational initiative, because if it's not, then you're going to have fragmented orientation. I'm thinking HR, fragmented AI initiatives. So it can't just be HR's doing their AI, finance is doing theirs, because it's not going to match and align with the organizational goals. But I will say there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of, are we kind of walking over the cliff without a net when we're going into AI? And that's why you can start small, and you can start with smaller pilot programs that will eventually integrate into the whole organization, depending on what the initiatives are.
Yeah, moving into that to that point. So we move into the AI readiness and change leadership. So how do you handle that? The readiness and change leadership. How, for example, what does that process typically look like from a mid-market organization, for example?
So the AI readiness looks at several key components. It looks at first your culture. Is there resistance? Take a pulse on anxiety levels. What do people think AI can do for them? And that's asking people, that's taking surveys and asking them, what do you think? It's also looking at your data, because AI is all data driven. So if your data is not, quote, what they call clean data, then that's something that you may not be ready in that area. For example, AI now it can go into your folders, and it can take, let's say you have something called new hire orientation, but you have 10 different folders called new hire orientation. It's just going to pull the data from that, and then you're going to get this outcome that's like, wait, that was from 10 years ago, or that was from yesterday, or that was just a draft, and that doesn't even make sense. So, and that's what I mean by, look, those are changes within the organization. It's also looking at, does the company have the bandwidth right now or the resources to do changes? And then as it go in stages, you don't want to disrupt the organization so much where that it's become stressful. And now there's what they call AI fatigue, and you're just demanding people learn these things. And they're saying, I don't have time for this, and it's not working. There are problems with it. So you have to kind of dig deep, but also looking at what is their budget, then looking at what AI can't solve everything, and you don't need AI for everything. So it's not a, what's the word, panacea, where it's just going to come in and fix all your problems. It's also working with a task force of leaders within the organization, not just HR as a change leader, or not just IT, or not just your data folks. It has to be a enterprise task force representing all the departments, because they're going to own it. As a consultant, I'm going to be leaving, and yeah, you can blame the consultant, but you all are going to need to manage it. So
Yeah. So when you evaluate the readiness, for example, what are the most common red flags you see in the people or the processes or even the culture? Because you already talk about the culture of the organization. The culture has to be ready. And then what are the red flags when you go into an organization?
well, a big one is data. A big one is also polarized departments where they're not sharing data. So finance has their data, HR has their data. If it's healthcare, clinicians have their data, and they're all separate. And maybe there are parts of it that connect. But when you're using AI, it is so powerful. It can connect so much information from all different disciplines. And I don't think there's an awareness of that. There's also a view that we're all going to use Copilot and that's what we're going to do. Well, Copilot's one model, then there's all these other models, and how do you know what's the right model? And
Yeah.
then I've also heard of companies saying, well, we just ban it. Well, okay, if you're going to ban it, I'm just going to use my cell phone to use ChatGPT because it's going to make
So
my day much easier.
okay, why do they just curious? Why do they want to ban
They want
those
to ban
tools?
it because they don't know, think it's a risk, and it is a risk if it's not. That's even more of a risk, by the way, to ban
Mm-hmm.
it.
Uh-huh.
Or they think that it's going to jeopardize their current processes because they don't understand how it's going to help their current processes. It's a kind of like I don't want to age myself, but when the internet came out, or it's like when people were didn't want to use, well, now this is really, I'm not that old, but not use cars.
Yeah.
It's like, but then once technology gets in place, it's like, oh yeah, it just becomes a part of your everyday work
Yeah.
and your everyday life. So, I mean, for me, when I think of the hours in my career that I spent making PowerPoint presentations, writing communications to staff, creating policies, revising employee handbooks, organizing even open enrollment benefits information for
Mm.
employees. And now all of that can be done in seconds.
Yeah, I agree. And right now, for example, the change leadership will also change. So, like before, there's a traditional change leadership strategy. How do you think should the organization now in the next 5 to 10 years, because we are rapidly changing and then integrating a lot of AI tools or AI systems in our organization? How do you think the change leadership should focus or change based on how do you align the employees, how do you align the executives, and around the AI vision of the organization?
So I think this is related to one of your earlier questions, is that one misconception is that AI is one and done, meaning we'll just put in a model or we'll put in a platform like Notion or Slack or whatever it may be, and then we're done. And AI, as you just said, is always changing. And even without AI, organizations and people are always changing. So it is a continuous initiative that always has to be monitored, always has to have the human loop, always has to be monitored for mistakes or data changes. So if your data today is what it is, even a month, 2 months down the road, it's going to be different. So you want to have continuous feeds for current time or real time data. So does that answer your
Yeah.
question, I think?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it's very hard sell, especially for the C-suite levels or the executives to have in their organization. First is the cost. How much do they want to spend for us for a system that has not proven anything yet? So a lot of organizations that are failing because like what you said, maybe they are not in the right direction or they're not using a clean data. So that's why they're failing. They don't know. They just want to integrate everything. It's AI. It's not like that. So there should be some very specific strategies. So what do you think are some early wins that should they aim for, the quick starts, so that the organizations can build the momentum after that?
So I think that quick starts, and this is not really having to do with a tech or AI platform. It's just understanding your organization, because that is a huge advantage. Because what I've seen happen is companies putting what's the saying, cart before the horse. They go directly to the tech option, and that's like the last piece that you put in. There's a lot of work that needs to be done before you even get to that, because you have to set it up for success. And companies have wasted a lot of money and a lot of time and really a lot of painful failures by not doing that. It's like anything, you want to know what you're walking into before you walk into it.
Why do you think some of the organizations just join the bandwagon of AI without even having an AI strategy. I think a lot of the organizations failed during the first few years of the infancy and emergence of AI because they just want to be, in. Okay, everybody's doing AI, let's do that without having to see, okay, 10 years down the line, what is it that I really want my organization to be and how
Right.
it would benefit for us in the next maybe 10 or 20 years. And then, of course, AI will also evolve, right? It will evolve. Whatever we have right now, you should, like what you said, you should monitor that. It's like a performance evaluation. So let's see. Are we doing? We have these KPIs as well for the AI. Is it really hitting the target? Are we over but the budget? Are we within the budget? And those things. What do you think?
Well, and what is your experience with how successful performance evaluations are?
It's
They are painful. They're
yes,
painful for the
yeah,
employee,
yeah.
they're painful for the manager, and it just becomes this exercise to get it done. So it's like checking off a box. I did your eval. And I'm not saying that it's not valuable feedback or anything like that, but the one time of year model it's just one time a year, and that is another aspect that AI can really help out with performance management.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling a while ago, right? How can you use AI for you to be able at least 50% of the data that you have is already analyzed for you. And then the other side is talking to the person, knowing the problems or knowing the issues and knowing what his or her challenges and her future development for the company. So something like that.
Well, AI can predict trends and patterns, and it can predict your potential turnover or attrition rate, can predict ways.
Really?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
can.
yeah, and reasons
Wow.
why. Yeah.
How? Okay, can you tell me about I never thought about it that the attrition rate will be predicted by AI because I think there's so many variables around it. Maybe the culture, the toxic boss, or all this. So it's very interesting, for example, when there's an AI in your system, for example, in HR, and then you see all this attrition. Is it possible, for example, that because me, I also started from the bottom. Is it possible for AI to predict, okay, there's a lot of attrition in this organization? It can pinpoint, okay, there's a bad boss, there's a toxic boss in that in that department. You know what I mean, right? As an HR, you know that, right?
Well, AI again is all driven by data. So if you, let's say you have your exit interview and you have your exit interview data and you're putting into AI, we've had, in the last 6 months, we've had 15, making this up, employees leave. And these are the reasons why. AI is going to search all of that information and it's going to gather common reasons. You can put demographics in for your organization. You can put your location for your organization to understand the competition in the area. You can put age of people leaving, or is it common to younger or older workforce? And it can compare all of that information to other similar organizations. And if the reason why is bad toxic management, and that does exist, and it's repeated, that would be highlighted as. Now the piece about using AI for exit interviews is you're going to get a lot more information that is less identifiable to the person who gave that information. And the concern with employees, of course, is I don't want it to be truthful because it'll come out, I'll burn bridges, I won't get a good
Yes.
reference, that kind of thing. And it'll compare statistics and it could even look at, in the next 5 years, this is the prediction of how many of employees you may lose. So these are all questions. These are, so what I do a lot is when I'm asked a question, I go, I don't know, that's interesting. And I ask my friend ChatGPT or GPT or Claude or whoever it is, and you'd be amazed how much information you get. So, yeah, it
That's
can.
that's good. That's really good if it's going to be at least, 80 to 90% accurate in the first few years. And it's really interesting to know that another thing that I'm also curious about is during the performance evaluation and promotions. You know this also, that a lot of maybe 60 or 70% of promotions are not based on performance. It's based on the the politics in the office. Do you think if AI will be there, it could have an objectivity when it comes to the promotion? It's not like, this is the manager's favorite, even though he or she not performing well because I like her and we're good friends, or we go out and we all of those reasons, and then suddenly somebody is promoted, and it really affects the team because everybody knows in the department that this guy is not so good. He's a mediocre. But how come he or she becomes the manager or the supervisor, and he was just like doing very less compared to us? What do you
No,
think?
100%. And I have seen that. And I even worked for an organization where they would give someone a promotion and a pay increase over time, and their job description never changed. They would go from,
Wow, really?
so they would go from I'm a director, and then in 3 years they were a VP, and their job description was exactly the same.
Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah. Because that just is about promotions based on retention and, like what you said, I really like this person, I don't want them to leave. Being in management is hard because you have to have those difficult conversations. And I don't at some point, maybe you can train an AI robot to have that performance conversation, and then you can say, "Okay, talk to this robot, not me."
I mean, I mean, these are the things that a lot of employees or the workforce are not seeing. They have this anxiety. Oh my God, this AI is going to change our organization. They're going to lay me off, and they don't see that side. That at least there will be some some equalization in the organization, because there will be a lot of objectivity, and AI will never lie because it's based on the data. There must be some biases or hallucinations sometimes, but
Right.
at least you will have a basis because these are all based on the data. So how would you deal with that hallucinations, for example, during the first few sessions of the AI or the integration or the execution and implementation?
Well, that would go back to when we rolled everything out. We said, remember, there's going to be problems because there's always going to be, nothing's perfect. Even AI is not. AI is very good, but it's not perfect. And companies have had massive failures due to not managing or rolling out their AI correctly. But it also goes to workforce transformation. And what I mean by that is looking at, when we started earlier from this discussions, talking about work processes and work design and roles. How is your job going to change? And what is your new job description going to look like? And that can be very scary, but the difference, or the positive piece, is upskilling that job to now your job is using the AI effectively to do your job better, and you are a better employee because, for example, if it's taking place of all your administrative, companies are still doing open enrollment by hand data entry. Okay. AI can do all that. I mean, and HRIS can do that as
Huh?
well. But companies are still really behind in some areas. And so it's looking at also some employees, and I'm sure you've seen this, become very territorial with their processes, and they are the only one in the company that knows how to do whatever it is. That's not going to be the case anymore. So it's working with people and saying, because I would never go into a company and say, this is your company size, this is your budget, this is what you need. Because it's just like HR. My HR consulting, when I've gone into companies and done an HR assessment, I can't tell you what's wrong until I go in, I meet with people. I know what your practices are. I know what your risks are. I know what your compliance needs are. I know where your gaps are. And it's not just a quick fix.
Yeah. So like what you're saying, so in terms of the change management, so I think the strategies for AI, there should be some also training transition from this is your job description 5 years ago or until now, and then transitioning from now to AI, so it will be a very different job description, right? So how would you sell that to the people? Maybe that's the reason why a lot of employees are there's some anxiety. Like, I know this because the management is not giving the right the right message to the people that, okay, we are going to transition from AI. We will replace what is the traditional job, but we are going to be having a training development during the transition, so you can use the AI tools for us to be able to be a future ready employee or future ready organization.
Mm-hmm. So this goes back to the CEO messaging and the executive leadership. And it goes back to this will now be a part of your performance evaluation. So you will be evaluated on using the AI tools and getting your AI skills, because this is going to be an integral part of our organization moving forward. And it will change with time, and roles and responsibilities will change with time. Nothing's going to be status quo anymore because, like I said, AI is a disruptor. So, and this happens.
Do you envision to have a flat organization because of AI? There will be no hierarchy or less hierarchy,
That's a really good question.
right?
I don't
Because if the data will be there, so there will be a platform for that. So everybody knows the data now. Whether you're from finance, you just ask, whatever, or there's a system, you already have the data. Do you think there's a future for that? Like, it's a just very, very lean team, just like one straight line and then few others, and then it's all anchored into the AI platform.
I think it could go to that, but also there's going to need to be different levels of management and mid-management, because the reality is the higher up you go in the organization, the less you know about the realities of someone's day-to-day job and the specifics of what they're encountering every day. And now, there may be that communication funnel, or will be much more quick for CEOs, but at the end of the day, everyone's got to do a job. So the CEO is going to need to do their job, but support the AI initiatives. It's the employees who are using the AI and are going to be the voice if management is listening. And so this is why I open this with, our company's ready for this, because it is going to it does impact everything of how we're thinking. I mean, I know even in my personal life, something will come up in my life and I'll be like, I don't know. I think AI might know better than I do. Like, I look it up, or even a recipe, or even a travel packing list,
Yeah.
and you just start to think, oh, I didn't even think AI could help me with that.
Yeah. Talking about the middle management, you mentioned about it because I have seen this a lot in my past few organization and my past experiences. So this middle management are not really reporting what's really happening on the shop floor, for example, from down. They always give very good information from middle to top. So this on top, that they're very not connected into what's happening downstairs. They are just basing their decisions based on the middle management. And if this middle management are afraid to tell the truth that this is what is happening, and that is going to, a lot of organizations fail because of that. So, and a lot of, the frontliners on the bottom, they always, blame the management because I think there's a gap. They thought the CEO is the one who is, making the decision, and it's his fault. I think, the middle management is the more responsible for that, for giving the right data, just like AI, you mentioned that, clean, right data going up. And then so that the C-suite level, the executives will be able to decide based on that information. Do you think AI will be able to do that also? Like, okay, we will have the very, very good information that at least 82% reflects what are the sentiments of the people and what is happening on the shop floor.
Well, AI will be able to have more and better factual data, because it's using so much information both internally and externally. But this goes back to an organization having psychological safety and being able to say, this is what's wrong with my department, or this is what's wrong. I'm the manager, this is what's wrong, and this is why, without it reflecting that I, as the manager, am now the problem. And because that's what people are fearful of, right? They don't want to say, they don't want to be honest about the problems. And, you know, it's trust building, it's how to understand trust AI outputs, when to question them, looking at, existing norms. There are, quote, unwritten rules in organizations where, oh, you don't ask that question, or, oh, nobody says that, you can't ask, but everybody knows it. And so, if there's more data, it will be less objective decisions, less objective processes, because if the data's right, it's not going to lie.
Yeah. So like what you mentioned, like during the performance evaluation. So most of my direct reports, they're usually surprised that after I ask them what you should improve, blah blah blah, and at the end of the conversation, I always tell them, okay, right now, I will reverse the question. What do you think should I improve? And they was like, oh my god, my manager's asking me what's wrong with him.
Right.
But for me, I think I always believe that as a manager, also as a person, for example, as a husband or a boyfriend or girlfriend, you should ask your partner, right?
Yeah.
What's wrong with me now? And it's the same for the organization because I sometimes I don't know, right? I have some flaws because I have so many things to do. I want somebody, just like AI, real person telling me, hey boss, you missed this. We don't like this. And for how many years it worked for me. And
Mm-hmm.
it usually builds a lot of trust. When they can say to my boss that, hey boss, not brutally, just subtly like, okay, boss, this. For example, because a lot of the people down, they will all just remember small things,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
those small things you don't remember. Sometimes, oh really? It happened? During
Yeah.
the, and then I will tell them, actually, I really don't know if I offended you, if I say something, but I
Yep.
don't remember that. But thank you for letting me know of this, and then we can, in the future, I become more connected on that. So I think a lot of the people are also not being honest with the organization, and a lot of the managers also don't like that. And those are the things that I think if AI will be able to do that in the future, like for example, at least not particularly one person, so for the whole department, what does my people, my direct reports think about me? And
Right.
then and it show up the okay, at least that data. So a lot of these creative things that we can do about AI so you
Mm-hmm.
can improve yourself. So what do you think? Is it also a possibility?
Yes, I think 100%. I mean, we all have blind spots, right?
Yeah.
That we don't know about. And I don't know if you've done this with AI. I mean, now you can ask AI to write a prompt for you. If you say, hey, you don't have to, you can say to AI, write a prompt for what I want. If it's, I don't know, I want to get a recipe to bake a cake, write a prompt, but if you're prompting and you ask AI at the end, do you have any questions? You would be shocked how many questions AI comes back with that you didn't even think of.
Wow. I
What
haven't done that. Actually, honestly,
yes.
I haven't done. I will try that. I will try.
Yes, like it will come back. Like, let's say I say, oh, I want to help me answer questions for a podcast I'm going to be on. And I upload your questions, which I did earlier today. Get some answers to the podcast.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I'm thinking, oh, and I uploaded my website so AI
Uh-huh.
could look at who I am, what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said to AI, answer these questions. And then I said, do you have any questions? And it came back with things like, So what's your audience? What kind of tone do you want? Friendly and fun, or professional and sophisticated? And do you want to be tech? Do you want the answers to be tech related or more change managed? So I thought, oh, I didn't even think of those questions. So to your point, asking people and even asking AI, it will come up with things that might have been a blind spot.
Yeah, because there are, so for example, Gallup surveys, right? They will say things like, for example, in your department, you cannot see that, but there will be scores and there will be comments. So those sometimes become subjective when the management is, discussing this and that, and then whatever they pick that is good, they just pick that. But in reality, if AI will analyze that, you will see what is really the, at least 80 to 90%, what is really the real score, what is really the current situation, and that will help you. That will help the people. Okay, that's really weird for me to ask. Okay, so in terms of the business outcomes and human adoption, how do you measure success for this?
That is a really good question. And this is very new for organizations. So unless you're an organization like a Meta or Google, or when they have all these resources to put AI in, but the measure of success is how has AI successfully impacted their organizational goals and improve their organizational goals, whatever it may be. But there's a lot that goes into that, into success. And to me, and I'm biased because I'm an HR person, the people part and change management part are the key. And being in HR, I have always heard that HR is overhead, but
Mm-hmm.
to me, HR is revenue, because you can't get to your business goals without your people. And I look at the same application with the people part of AI initiatives.
Nice, nice. Okay, so what kind of leadership mindset is needed, to be able to transition to this AI-driven world? What
It
do you think?
It has to be leadership that knows that AI is here, it's not going away, that there's no quick fix, that has to be successful. It has to be an organizational initiative, not just one or two departments, and that it is a culture, an organizational culture shift and workforce shift. And they have to be willing to commit to that and get their teams on board with that, knowing there's going to be resistance.
And what excites you in the next 5 to 10 years about this?
I,
Well, like yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think that it's so exciting because it is really a transformational disruptor, and disruptor doesn't necessarily mean bad. Just means it might be painful for a little while, but once you get over the curve, it's going to be great.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love working with people, of course, or I would not have been in HR this long. Although I don't always love people.
Understand that, But,
HR, everyone
you,
you have your love-hate
yeah.
relationship.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I understand that. I'm not even HR. I know HR deals with a lot of people and then the issues, blah blah blah, and all this. So it's really hard for me. Even if you have 10 or 20, people, even if it's only three, if you have very hard people, it's really hard. And if you imagine, as an HR, you deal with all those departments, asking, okay, this one manager is having problem with this guy, and then there's one guy there that is always absent and not working well, blah blah blah, and all this. So it's really really hard for you. So I understand that. So what's your message in the executives who are they're feeling overwhelmed or have this unprepared feeling that we cannot go from this, from this transition now? What's your message to them?
So my message is that I am your AI partner. And I am the person that is going to help you make the hype and the overwhelm. I'm going to help you break it down without even talking about tech jargon or tech platforms, to help you develop a roadmap, step by step, an integration plan, and walk you, the CEO, and the executives and the management teams through it and just really be there as a coach and a guide to help you get there. And I will be your co-partner to determine what platforms or models or whatever is right for the organization, to choose that. And there are many tech companies that will come in and tell you what you need. But just think about it. There's this theory now, and I posted something recently on LinkedIn, where companies are jumping to merge their HR department and their IT departments because
Wow.
HR change and culture, IT data and tech. But that is just a mismatch because each discipline has their own value and unique skill sets. And that's why you need somebody who knows how to lead it within the organization and to help you figure out who owns it in the organization at the end of the day. Who owns it? I mean, there's company is going to have a task force of leadership, but at the end of the day, one person or one department or maybe two departments have to own it. And companies are still figuring that out. Is it legal? Is it compliance? Is it HR? Is it IT? Who is it? There's a new role now, chief AI officer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do companies need that? It's that's why I say it's all evolving. But if people hire me, I'm much cheaper than
Yeah, so we're moving on to the last part, the rapid 10x. So I will ask you 10 questions about,
okay.
about you. All right. So what's one AI tool you actually use every day?
I do use ChatGPT number one every day, and then Claude.
Oh, nice. Okay. What one task AI has already 10x'd your life?
For me, it's research. It's just pulling up information that I'm looking for in seconds.
What's one human skill AI can never replace?
The people part of people, building trust, change management, empathy, having fun, which is important, and just being nice.
Yeah.
Although AI is nice, it's like, "Hi, Lynn," but it's not a person, so
Yeah.
it doesn't have that
Yeah.
touch.
So this one is, if you could automate one annoying thing forever, what would that be?
For me, it would be keeping me organized because I have so many
Okay.
things going on at once that I get so distracted, and I'll start one thing and then another thing, and when you're just the automation of things.
One
Calendar,
particular
emails.
calendar. Ah, okay, yeah, yeah. I'm also having problems with calendars because sometimes you have so many things outside of work, and then sometimes you book something, and oh my god, this no, it's going to clash in one of my meetings or something like that. That's good.
Yeah, and if you have kids, that makes it double,
So I already answered this, but I'll still ask you: what's the biggest misconception about AI right now?
is that it's a tech issue. Implementation is about tech.
What advice would you give someone who wants to become X starting today?
I would tell them to be a really great problem definer, to look at what are their problems and go from there, not just look at some tool and be like, this is great, I'll just use it, when you don't even know it's going to work for you.
Yes. What would you tell your younger self about the future?
I would tell my younger self that it is really important to be able to change
I
and
like
don't get stuck in, and even in
I
redefining
like that.
yourself.
I like that. Like for in my meetings, I always have this significant milestones, and then I will have the challenges, and I will have the 1% improvement, and then we will follow through with that. I always tell them just one thing, just change one, just
Uh-huh.
this week, change one. You will see the compound effect in 365 days. So I always put that as I like that. Change it's inevitable.
Inevitable.
Even if I don't like AI, now I'm starting to learn AI because when they said about the data, and we have so much data. I'm more on the QA, QC, so I have experience in
Oh, wow.
quality assurance, quality control, and the lab. And we have so much data, and I believe with those data, we'll be able to predict things. Like it's the
Yes, you will.
predictive, right? Right. So
Exactly.
instead of waiting for that failure or issues to happen, we'll be able to see, okay, at this trajectory, we'll be able to fail in the next few hours or few days. Or
Mm-hmm.
this one area in our lab, if you see in our heat map, there's so many anomaly in that lab.
Yep.
So that's why I really like that. That's why I got interested, and I think this is the
Mhm.
future. So what's one book, podcast, or resource that shaped your thinking about AI or innovation?
So one book that I have found very helpful, it's called AI Leadership Handbook by Andreas Welsh.
Mhm.
And what he talks about is a lot of what I've talked about is that about the how to implement AI. Everybody talks about AI's this, AI's that, AI all over the place and these tech platforms, but people don't really talk about the how. So how do we do this? Exactly how do we do this? And so that's what's really helped me understand the how.
If you had to bet on one AI trend that will be massive in 3 years, what is it?
AI trend that would be massive in 3 years is that it is going to be a part of everyone's life in whatever ways that looks like.
Yes. I think so many ways, not only in your personal life, so many things. Imagine, I just read one, I'm not sure it's true, one article about this husband and wife, and then this husband is having an affair with an AI girlfriend.
It's so
Imagine. Why? Now it's a thing. Oh my,
I've heard of people wanting to get married
my
to their chat
God.
GPT.
Oh my God. It's really crazy. So, see, imagine this, right? There will be another psychology or psychiatric industry based
Yes?
on relationship with AI, something AI human, something like
Yep.
that, right? I
Yes.
think it will create something like that. Because they will create another stress level, mental health issues, blah blah blah, and all this. I think it will be
It
another
will.
thing that
I
we never really imagined it's going to happen. Imagine you will have an AI girl. How would that be?
Well, I mean, would we ever imagine a driverless car?
No, me too. I
And
never imagined that.
I saw something on the news where they have this company has these robots and they're in pilot right now and they're training robots to be house cleaners or
And
housekeepers. And they
that's
showed
good.
this robot trying to load a dishwasher and robot was very awkward and I thought this is crazy. This is all going to be right. Who would have thought about smartphones? My son says, "Mom, you had to plug a phone in." He doesn't understand. Yes, they were at the wall.
It's really, there's so many possibilities, right? It's going forward, which I think will blow our minds. You'll never what is this going to be a thing now?
Yes, it will be. Maybe we'll have flying cars one day. Who knows?
And that will be awesome, right? That will be awesome. Oh yeah. So, and the last question: what does X mean to you personally?
X to me means, and this isn't just in AI, this is in my personal world. It goes to constant evolution and change and really continuously trying to be the best person I am and not just settling.
Yeah. So for our viewers or the companies or the institutions or organizations who wanted to work with you, how do they contact you?
They can look up my website, which is thehostettergroup.com. They can also look me up on LinkedIn. And that's how they can find me.
Okay.
I'm on the East Coast of US in Maryland. I'm right south of Baltimore and north of Washington, DC. But I can work anywhere. I can even work in Iceland.
Yes, it was really fun and very engaging and very great insights having you in the
Thank
show.
you.
I
I
learned
enjoyed
a
it.
lot and I really enjoyed. And it's
Me
very
too.
calm. I like your calmness. You're so calm. When you talk like I became okay. I'm very comfortable talking to you. It's like we're just in a cafe, in person,
Yeah.
just talking about things about AI and that's what I really like about you. And I think it would be great you having a lot of organization if you have that vibe.
Yes,
So we talk about the safety, anxiety. So when you come in,
exactly.
right, you have this calmness and people will say, okay, everything's going to be fine because Lynne is here for us.
Yes. I hope they think that, but thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was the nice Rapid X round, 10X round, and very nice having you again.